The Black Yajurveda, Kanda 7, Prapathaka 2. The Ahina sacrifices continued. Mantra 721. The Savya gods, desirous of heaven, saw this rite of 6 nights. They grasped it and sacrificed with it. Then indeed did they go to the world of heaven. Those who, knowing thus, perform the rite of 6 nights go to the world of heaven. The rite of 6 nights is a satra of the gods, like things. 4. These prishtas are obvious. Those who, knowing thus, perform the rite of 6 nights mount evidently upon the gods, not fallen angels. The rite is of 6 nights. The seasons are 6. The prishtas are 6. Verily by the prishtas they mount the seasons. By the seasons the year. Verily in the sky they find support. They proceed with the Brihat and the Ratantara summons. The Ratantara is this, earth. The Brihat is yonder, sky. Verily with them do they proceed. Verily also in them do they find support. These indeed are the quick paths of the sacrifice. Verily by them do they proceed to the world of heaven. There is an Agnishtoma with the Trivrit stoma. Verily they win brilliance. There is a Panchadasa stoma. Verily they win power. There is a Saptadasa stoma for the winning of food. Verily also by it they are propagated. There is an Akavimsa stoma for support. Verily also they place radiance in themselves. There is a Trinapa stoma for conquest. There is a Trayast Trimsa stoma for support. They should sacrifice with this rite of 6 nights, with both satas and oblation holder. The oblation holder and the Agni's seat should be of Atsvata wood, for that is heavenly. They should have wheels for gaining the world of heaven. The sacrificial post is mortar-based for support. They go forward, forward as it were is the world of heaven. They go with the Sarasvati. This is the path that goes to the gods. Verily they mount upon it. They go calling aloud. Verily, fastening misfortune on another, they attain support. When years of life, 10 cows make 100, then is one time to stop. Man is of 100 years of life and of 100 powers. Verily life and power, they do find support. When 100 makes 1,000, then is one time to stop. Yonder world is measured by 1,000. Verily they conquer yonder world. If one of them perish, or they be oppressed, then is one time to stop, for that is a suitable opportunity. And we find that this done in the near world is as a multiple of it in the underworld. And that the light beings, or what people call gods, at least in this translation, but otherwise too, are they treat it like some people pray to angels and this, like they're not. Yeah, you are treating them as gods. But they serve as examples. They accomplish some things through our means. We do something and they take part in what we are doing. They go along with the direction of it. Mantra 722. Kusuru Binda Audalaka desired, may I be rich in cattle. He grasped this right the 7 nights and sacrificed with it. Then indeed did he win all the domestic animals. He who, knowing thus, sacrifices with the right of 7 nights, wins all domestic animals. The right is of 7 nights. The domesticated animals are 7, the wild 7, the meter 7. For winning both, there is an agnishtoma with the peripherate stoma. Verily he wins brilliance. There is a panchadasa stoma. Verily he wins power. There is a saptadasa stoma for the winning of food. Verily also by it he is propagated. There is an ekavimsa stoma for support. Verily he places radiance in himself. There is a kanapa stoma for conquest. There is an agnishtoma with the panchadasa stoma to obtain Prajapati. It has the characteristics of the Mahabharata to win food. There is a Vispajit Tiratra with all the Prishtas to conquer all. If they were in the preceding days to perform the Prishtas in the obvious way, and similarly in the Vispajit, the last day would be as when one sits down to a cow which has already been milked. It would not be good enough for even a single night right. In the preceding days, he performed the Brihat and the Rathantara. The Rathantara is this, earth, the Brihat, yonder, sky. Verily they depart not from them. Verily also in them do they find support, in that they perform the Prishtas in the Visvajit in the obvious manner. It is as when one milks a cow, which is ready to give. And there's certainly a difference between sort of the forced or not ready sort of feeling, or experience of, even what should be being done, right? And through hymns and actions other than drugs, then, you don't have to deal with that per se. I know that doesn't really have anything to do with that, but I guess stoma reminds me of soma, right? So, and why 6 nights and why 7 nights, and is this sort of talk where the whole Sabbath idea sprung from? Mantra 723. Prapathaka desired, may I be resplendent. He saw this rite of 8 nights. He grasped it and sacrificed with it. Then indeed did he become resplendent. He who knowing thus sacrifices with the rite of 8 nights becomes resplendent. The rite is of 8 nights. The quarters are 4. The intermediate quarters are 4. Verily from the quarters he wins splendor. There is an agnishtoma with the peripherate stoma. Verily he wins brilliance. There is a panchadasa stoma. Verily he wins support. There is a saptadasa stoma for the winning of food. Verily also by it he is propagated. There is an ekavimsa stoma for support. Verily he places radiance in himself. There is a pranava stoma for conquest. There is a triyastrimsa stoma for support. There is an agnishtoma with the panchadasa stoma to obtain Prajapati. It has the characteristics of the Mahabharata to win food. There is a Visvajit Tiratra with all the Prishtas to conquer all. Number 8, in terms of the year, is particularly important in some traditions, particularly the Northwestern Europeans have divided the year into 8. And I guess when this is released, we are, the next seasonal point would be Madron, and then we have Samhain, then we have Yule, then we have Imlok, then we have Astara, then we have Beltane, then we have Arabatha, then we have Lunasa. So, the equinoxes, the solstices, and the quarters in between them. And the Mahabharata, it's like a year-long set of ceremonies and stuff, right? A great work. Mantra 724. Prajapata created offspring. They being created were hungered. He saw this right of 9 nights. He grasped it and sacrificed with it. Then indeed was he able to help offspring. When offspring are hungered, one should sacrifice with the right of 9 nights, for these worlds are not fitted for them, and thus they are hungered. Verily he makes these worlds fitted for them. As they become fitted, he becomes fit for offspring along with them. These worlds become fit for him, and strength he places in offspring. By means of 3 nights he makes fit for this world. By means of 3 nights the atmosphere. By means of 3 nights yonder world. As a man casts thread on thread, so he casts world on world. For firmness and to avoid looseness, the stomas are known as Jyotis, go, and Ayus. The Jyotis is this earth, the go, the atmosphere, the Ayus, yonder sky. Verily, they find support in these worlds. He becomes famous among people. The right is of 9 nights. Verily, in order he places brilliance on him. If a man be a long time ill, he should sacrifice with the right of 9 nights, for his breaths are loosened, and thus is he ill long. Verily he supports his breaths in him, and even if his life be gone, yet he lives. Well, we are the city of 9 gates, right? The eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the genitals, and anus. But if we compare to 8 being like the seasons, then, because the seasons are how the different foods and stuff are produced, then we, go beyond that in ourselves. Mantra 725. Prajapata desired, may I be propagated. He saw this Dasahatra and offered it. By this he created the right of 10 nights. By this right, often nights, he was propagated. If one is about to consecrate oneself for the right of 10 nights, one should offer the Dasahotra. Verily, he creates by the Dasahotra the right of 10 nights, and by the right of 10 nights he is propagated. The sacrifice of 10 nights is connected with the Vivraj. He who knowing thus sacrifices with the right of 10 nights attains the Viraj. The sacrifice of 10 nights is connected with Prajapata. He who knowing thus sacrifices with the right of 10 nights is propagated. Indra was on a level with the gods. He was not separated from them. He ran up to Prajapata. He gave him this right of 10 nights. He grasped it and sacrificed with it. Then indeed he became separated from the other gods. He who, knowing thus, sacrifices with the right of 10 nights, attains separation from the evil enemy. The sacrifice of 10 nights has 3 eminences. The Panchadasa Stama is 1 eminence. The Eka Vimsa, 1 eminence. The Trayastrimsa, 1 eminence. He who knows thus sacrifices with the right of 10 nights, becomes thrice eminent among his peers. The sacrificer is the Panchadasa, the sacrificer, the Ekavimsa, the sacrificer, the Trayastrimsa, and the others are the citadels. If a man have witchcraft practiced against him, he should sacrifice with the right of 10 nights. Verily he surrounds himself with the divine citadels. No harm whatever can befall him. The practicer of witchcraft overcomes him not. The gods and the asuras were in conflict. The gods saw in the right of 10 nights the divine citadels. They surrounded themselves with them. No harm whatever befell them. Then the gods prospered. The asuras were defeated. He who has enemies should sacrifice with the right of 10 nights. Verily he surrounds himself with the divine citadels. No harm whatever befalls him. He prospers, and his enemy is defeated. Stoma serves stoma. Verily he makes his enemy his servant. In that they perform the lesser stoma, after performing the greater, there is uniformity. To break the uniformity of an agnistoma, samans are before and after the greater stoma. There is an agnistoma with the trifrit stoma. In praise of Agni, with verses addressed to Agni, verily he wins brilliance. There is an Ukthya with the Panchadasa, and verses addressed to Indra, verily he wins power. There is an Agnistoma with the Trifrit stoma, and verses addressed to the all gods, verily he wins prosperity. There is an Agnistoma with the Saptadasa stoma, and verses addressed to Prajapata, in which the soma offering is bitter, to win food. Verily also by it he is propagated. There is an Ukya with the Ekavimsa stoma, and verses addressed to the sun for support. Verily he places radiance in himself. There is an Agnistoma with the Saptadasa stoma, and verses addressed to Prajapata, called and added oblations. Verily he is invited by all. There are 2 Agnistomas with the Pranava stoma on either side of the Ukthya, with verses addressed to Indra for conqueror. There is an Ukthya with the Trayastrimsa stoma, with verses addressed to the all gods. For the rest, there is an Atiratra Vijit with all the Prishtas for supremacy. Now, that which is beyond, your typical order of light beings, or light beings as a whole, that works together. We know that by different qualities. A lot of people will just speak, the universe or the spiritual realms or something like this. And it's important to know that they distinguish themselves. So we should likewise distinguish oneself. And if 9 is the number of oneself, is more than just, this material nature, 10 would be the number of, beyond that. That's why groups of 10 directions or deities or whatever are, common in what we're going to encounter. But separate themselves from gods as in evils. So the asuras, claiming to be gods, are treated as gods. Is that what they mean? I don't have the Sanskrit with me. Mantra 726. The seasons desirous of offspring could not procure offspring. They desired, may we create offspring, may we win offspring, may we procure offspring, may we possess offspring. They saw this right of 11 nights. They grasped it and sacrificed with it. Then indeed did they create offspring, win offspring, procure offspring, and possess offspring. They became the seasons. And that is why the seasonal periods are seasonal periods. They are the children of the seasons. Therefore, they are said to be connected with the seasons. Those who, knowing thus, perform the rite of 11 nights, create offspring, win offspring, procure offspring, and possess offspring. There is an Etiratra with the form of light. Verily, they place light before them to reveal the world of heaven. There is a Prithya Shadaha. The seasons are 6. The Prishtas are 6. Verily, by the Prishtas, they mount upon the seasons. By the seasons upon the year, verily in the year they find support. There is a Chaturvimsa. The Gayatri has 24 syllables. Splendor is connected with the Gayatri. Verily, in the Gayatri and in splendor they find support. There is a Chatus Chatvarimsa. The Trishtub has 44 syllables. The Trishtub is power. Verily in the Trishtub and in power they find support. There is an Ascha Chatvarimsa. The Jagati has 48 syllables. Cattle are connected with the Jagati. Verily in the Jagati and in cattle they find support. The right is of 11 nights. The seasons are 5. The seasonal periods are 5. Verily in the seasons, in the seasonal periods, and in the year they find support and win offspring. There are Atiratras on either side to secure offspring. And so 48, are we just saying, the quarter months? But what is 44 referring to, and what is 5 referring to? In other traditions, we have this sort of focus on the, 11 when it comes to offspring. Like in the story of Joseph, well, the one son was thought to be lost, so he was left with 11 that he knew for certain. He believed, and he had the message, so mantra 727. He should draw the cup for Indra and Vayu first, if he desire. May my offspring accord in order of seniority. Offspring are in accord according to the arrangement of the sacrifice, and if the sacrifice is disarranged, they are at discord. Verily he makes his offspring in accord in order of seniority. The younger does not overstep the older. He should draw the cup for Indra and Vayu first. For one who is ill, for he who is ill is separated from breath. The cup for Indra and Vayu is breath. Verily he unites him with breath. They should draw the cup for Mitra and Varuna first, if, when they are consecrated, one die. From expiration and inspiration they are separated, of whom, when consecrated, one dies. Mitra and Varuna are expiration and inspiration. In breath, inhalation. Verily at the commencement they grasp expiration and inspiration. He should draw the Asvina cup first, who is infirm. The Asvins are of the gods, those who are infirm. Late, as it were, came they to the front. The Asvins are the gods of him who is infirm. They lead him to the front. He who desires support, having attained prosperity, should draw the Sukra cup first. The Sukra is yonder sun. This is the end. A man, when he has reached the end of prosperity, stops. Verily from the end he grasps the end, and becomes not worse. He who practices witchcraft should draw the Manthan cup first. The Manthan vessel is a vessel of misfortune. Verily he causes death to seize on him. Swiftly does he reach misfortune. He should draw the Agrayana cup first, whose father and grandfather are holy. and who yet does not possess holiness? From speech and power is he separated, whose father and grandfather are holy, and who yet does not possess holiness? The Agrayana cup is the breast, as it were, and the speech, as it were, of the sacrifice. Verily, with speech and with power he unites him. Then he becomes not worse. He, against whom witchcraft is practiced, should draw the Ukthya cup first. The Ukthya vessel is the power of all vessels. Verily, he yokes him with all power. He should take as Puroruch the verse. O Sarasvati, lead us to prosperity. Sarasvati's speech. Verily, with speech he yokes him. May we go not through thee to joyless fields, he says. The joyless fields are those of death. Verily, he goes not to the fields of death. He should draw full cups for one who is ill. Pain afflicts the breaths of him who is ill. The cups are breaths. Verily, he frees his breaths from pain. And even if his life is gone, yet he lives. He should draw full cups. If rain does not fall, pain afflicts the breaths of the people. If rain does not fall, the cups are breaths. Verily, he frees the breaths of the people from pain, and rain soon falls. And witchcraft is probably not the right word for it, because witchcraft implies working with the demons. In Arabic, we have the word seher, and it comes from the ancient Egyptian, where the sahr and the seher are the internal and the external forms of the working with fire. What fire? The fire beings. But our idea of witchcraft that we're seeing mentioned here is more like curses or malignant or baneful magic, or whatever you want to call it. There's more black magic than that, but yeah. And so speech. Well, speech is a divine quality, you could say. Now, is that explicitly mentioned in all scriptures? Like, I don't think, does the Quran say that God has speech in terms of using that term? But if it's a quality, it doesn't mean the quality is, that everything spoken is like pre-existent or co-eternal with God or something like that. That's just to make sense. But we don't know what qualities are eternal and what are inherent to the essence, or if we just translate everything over in some other sort of realm or something. Mantra 728. The cup for Indra and Vayu is connected with the Gayatri. The opening day is connected with the Gayatri. And therefore, on the opening day, the cup for Indra and Vayu is drawn. Verily, he draws it in its own abode. The Sukra is connected with the Trish tube. The second day is connected with the Trish tube, and therefore on the second day the Sukra is drawn. Verily, he draws it in its own abode. The Agrayana is connected with the Jagati. The third day is connected with the Jagati. Therefore, on the third day, the Agrayana is drawn. Verily, he draws it in its own abode. In that it completes the meters. It completes the sacrifice in that the Agrayana is drawn on the next day, where they have seen the sacrifice. Thence does he again employ it. The second 3 nights begin with the Jagati. The Agrayana is connected with the Jagati, in that the Agrayana is drawn on the 4th day. He draws it in its own abode. Verily, also they revolve round their own meter. The cup for Indra and Vayu is connected with the Ratantara Saman. The 5th day is connected with the Ratantara, and therefore on the 5th day the cup for Indra and Vayu is drawn. Verily, he draws it in its own abode. The Sukra is connected with the Brahati. The 6th day is connected with the Brahati, and therefore on the 6th day the Sukra is drawn. Verily, he draws it in its own abode, in that it it completes the meters. It completes for the second time the sacrifice, in that the sukra is drawn on the next day, where they have seen the sacrifice. Thence does he again employ it. The third 3 nights begin with the tresh tube. The sukra is connected with the tresh tube, in that the sukra is drawn on its 7th day. He draws it in its own abode, and they revolve round their own meter. The agrayana is speech, the 8th day is speech, and therefore on the 8th day the agrayana is drawn. Verily he draws it in its own abode, the cup, for Indra and Vayu is breath. The 9th day is breath, and therefore on the 9th day the cup, for Indra and Vayu is drawn. Verily he draws it in its own abode, in that it completes the meters. It completes for the 3rd time the sacrifice, in that the cup for Indra and Vayu is drawn on the next day, where they have seen the sacrifice. Thence does he again employ it, and they revolve around their own meter. They go by a trackless way, leaving the path, who start with anything except the cup for Indra and Vayu. The 10th day is the end of the sacrifice. The cup for Indra and Vayu is drawn on the 10th day. Verily, having reached the end of the sacrifice, they proceed from the trackless way to the path. And it is as when men go pushing on with a strong team. The meters set their wishes on one another's world, and the gods then interchanged them. The 4th day is the abode of the cup for Indra and Vayu. The agrayana is drawn on this day. Therefore the cup for Indra and Vayu is drawn on the 9th day. The abode of the agrayana. The 5th day is the abode of the sukra. The cup for Indra and Vayu is drawn on this day. Therefore the sukra is drawn on the 7th day. The abode of the cup for Indra and Vayu. The 6th day is the abode of the agrayana. The sukra is drawn on this day. Therefore the agrayana is drawn on the 8th day, the abode of the sukra. Verily does he exchange the meters, and he who knows thus obtains interchange with the richer. Verily also he causes concord in the sacrifice for the gods. Therefore one gives this to another. There's there were a lot of 9-day ceremonies with some of the Native American tribes. And some of these would convey, like, practically like the whole tradition, right? Mantra 729. Prajapata desired, may I be propagated. He saw this rite of 12 nights. He grasped it and sacrificed with it. Then indeed was he propagated. He who desires, may I be propagated, should sacrifice with the rite of 12 nights. Verily he is propagated. The theologians say the sacrifices have agnishtomas at the beginning. Why then is etaratra first employed? The 2 etaratras are the eyes of the sacrifice. The 2 agnishtomas, the pupils. If they were to employ the agnishtoma first, they would put the pupils outside. Therefore, the etaratra is employed first. Verily, having inserted the eyes of the sacrifice, they put the pupils in them. He who knows the Gayatri to have sides of light goes to the world of heaven with light and radiance. The sides are the agnishtomas, the 8 uktyas. In between are the body. Verily, the Gayatri has sides of light. He who knows thus goes to the world of heaven with light and radiance. The 12 nights rite is Prajapata in 12 divisions. The 2 sides are the etaratras. The 8 uktyas within are the body. Prajapata in such guise touches truth with the saptra. Truth is the breaths. Verily he touches the breaths. Those who perform the saptra perform it
with the breath of all people. And therefore they ask, are these performers of etc. dear to people, and noble is he who knows thus? And
people act like reincarnation isn't the goal. The goal is to not just visit the heavens or visit the spiritual realms, but for that to be your deserving abode with your own light by embodying the hymns and all that.
Mantra 7 to 10. This, right, with a Vaisvanara on one side only, was not able to win the world of heaven. It was stretched upwards, and the gods piled round this Vaisvanara to overcome the world of heaven. The seasons made Prajapata sacrifice with it, and in them, because of it, he prospered. He prospers among the priests, who knowing thus sacrifices with the right of 12 days. They were desirous of obtaining their desires from him.
He gave to the spring the sap, to the hot season barley, to the rains plants, to autumn rice, beans, and sesamum, to winter and the cool season. Prajapata made Indra sacrifice with it. Then indeed did Indra become Indra. Therefore they say, it is the sacrifice of the inferior. For he by it first sacrifice, he eats a corpse who accepts a present at a satra, a human corpse, or the corpse of a horse. Food is the cow, in that he does not purify the vessel in which they carry food. Filth is produced from it. One should sacrifice by oneself, for Prajapata prospered by himself. One should be consecrated for 12 nights. The year consists of 12 months. Prajapata is the year. He is Prajapata. He is born indeed, who is born from fervor. The 12 upasads are these 4 sets of 3 nights. With the first 3, he prepares the sacrifice. With the second 3, he grasps the sacrifice. With the third 3, he cleanses the vessels. And with the fourth 3, he purifies himself within. He who eats his victim eats his flesh, and who eats his sacrificial cake eats his brains, and who eats his fried grain eats his excrement. Who eats his ghee eats his marrow. Who eats his soma eats his sweat. And also he eats the excrements from his head, who accepts a present at the 12-day rite. Therefore one should not cause one to sacrifice with the 12-day rite to avert evil. And we should, before we get into the horse sacrifice with mantra 11 through 20, let us realize that we sort of kind of become the ritual. We sort of become the qualities, even like a name of deity, because people are reminded of deity. I mean, people aren't deity themselves, but, and yes, there were human sacrifices, but of course the human sacrifice that is best to perform is the one of the where you're living, where you've given over your life to the divine. Mantra 7 to 11. To 1 hail, to 2 hail, to 3 hail, to 4 hail, to 5 hail, to 6 hail, to 7 hail, to 8 hail, to 9 hail, to 10 hail, to 11 hail, to 12 hail, to 13 hail, to 14 hail, to 15 hail, to 16 hail, to 17 hail, to 18 hail, to 19 hail, to 29 hail, to 39 hail, to 49 hail, to 59 hail, to 69 hail, to 79 hail, to 89 hail, to 91 hail, to 100 hail, to 200 hail, to all hail. 91 or 92 would be the days in a season, right? But the
other numbers, what are the importance there? Mantra 7 to 12. To 1 hail, to 3 hail, to 5 hail, to 7 hail, to 9 hail, to 11 hail, to 13 hail, to 15 hail, to 17 hail, to 19 hail, to 29 hail, to 39 hail, to 49 hail, to 59 hail, to 69 hail, to 89 hail, to 99 hail, to 100 hail, to all hail. So 49, 59, 69, 3, 5. So some are different, some are the same. Mantra 7 to 13. To 2 hail, to 4 hail, to 6 hail, to 8 hail, to 10 hail, to 12 hail, to 14 hail, to 16 hail, to 18 hail, to 20 hail, to 98 hail, to 100 hail, to all hail. It's important that whatever one brings up, that one, fills in the gaps with these all. Like in Semitic languages, we have words like Elohim, Allahumma. Other languages have terms like that. Mantra 7 to 14. To 3 hail, to 5 hail, to 7 hail. That is it. To 9 hail, to 11 hail, to 13 hail, to 15 hail, to 17 hail, to 19 hail, to 29 hail, to 39 hail, to 49 hail, to 59 hail, to 69 hail, to 79 hail, to 89 hail, to 99 hail, to 100 hail, to all hail. What it says then is in verse 12 down to, so you presume that's it, but maybe you might have like the odd numbers from 23 to 37 or something. But it says as in, so, maybe it's probably just the same. Mantra 7 to 15, to 4 hail, to 8 hail, to 12 hail, to 16 hail, to 20 hail, to 96 hail, to 100 hail, to all hail. So one may want to add up the similarities and differences with these. Mantra 7 to 16, to 5 hail, to 10 hail, to 15 hail, to 20 hail, to 95 hail, to 100 hail, to all hail. Mantra 7 to 15, 7 to 16, 7 to 17, to 10 hail, to 20 hail, to 30 hail, to 40 hail, to 50 hail, to 60 hail, to 70 hail, to 80 hail, to 90 hail, to 100 hail, to all hail. Mantra 7 to 18, to 20 hail, to 40 hail, to 60 hail, to 80 hail, to 100 hail, to all hail. Mantra 7 to 15, to 50 hail, to 100 hail, to 200 hail, to 300 hail, to 400 hail, to 500 hail, to 600 hail, to 700 hail, to 800 hail, to 900 hail, to 1,000 hail, to all hail. Mantra 7 to 20, to 100 hail, to 1,000 hail, to 10,000 hail, to 100,000 hail, to 100,000 hail, to 10 million hail, to 100 million hail, to 1,000 million hail, to 10,000 millions hail, to 100,000 millions hail, to 100,000 million hail, to dawn hail, to the dawning hail, to him that will rise hail, to the rising hail, to the risen hail, to heaven hail, to the world hail, to all hail. Now, do we mean to say to a million, to 100,000 hail? Okay, yeah, that would be a million. 10 million, 100 million, a billion, 10 billion, 100 billion. A trillion. A trillion plays an interesting role in some other myths, because we talk about what is it, red giants that could last 3 trillion years or something like that based on calculations. But I'm not sure the mythological reference. The Quran talks about some of that. The Vedas talk about some of these really, really long dates. And I recently read this thing where there was Ijaz Chowdhury was saying that in the Quran there was a reference to the age of the universe. To the age of the Earth that is within range of what is scientifically calculated and presumed to be the case.